everybody. Welcome to the Evolution Security Podcast. This is Aaron and Eric Davis, the Tactical Twins. And Eric, I just wanted to say this. I did have an empirical scientific study done and found out that you and I are the only twins living that have a podcast, shoot Glocks, and play music.
Wow, I feel privileged to be in that singular category.
Yeah, we aren't going to be a voting block or anything like that, but you know, we fit that criteria. I'm sure we can think up a couple others, and you know what? As I'm looking at some of the other stuff we're going to talk about today, there might be some other twin stuff come out here. But
well, Aaron, I'm sorry, buddy. Even before we get going, just because we're just chatting, one of the things I thought of before we came on, we need to remind ourselves we never did a small AAR of the Rangemaster Advanced Instructor Development class. We still got to do that.
Yeah, we do. Man, that was a great time. Lots of great people. You know, you learn something from Tom always. So yeah, we do need to do that.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And then we got to hang out for a day after, just you and I chilling and you know, being able to decompress and think about the class and what we learned and the cool people we met. So yeah, we definitely got to go over that too.
Bro, having some brews in the pool, that was fun.
Oh yeah. It's like old times.
Oh yeah. Well, so we're here to chat. This is one of our gear and mindset episodes. This might be more of a gear episode.
Yeah, and that's quite all right.
Yeah, let's just have fun. It's a Friday afternoon, and Eric, just so happens that I watched it live, watched the House vote on the assault weapons ban, and not surprising, every single one of the Democrats voted against our freedom, and then every single one of the Republicans voted for our freedom. So, you know, unless something changed right at the end where I was looking, that's the way it turned out. I was looking for an article just a second ago, but it just happened a little bit ago.
Oh yeah.
So
I was watching the votes, and they hadn't finished before I kind of shifted my focus, but I knew the way it was going, that it was going to be a party line vote. And
I did get to witness AOC vote.
Oh yeah.
And you know,
Miss Horse Teeth.
Well, maybe you're gonna make me feel bad now, but I still think she's kind of cute.
She's not bad looking, I suppose, but yeah. And the only reason I say horse teeth, I don't think it's that bad. I've just seen a lot of, frankly, a little bit mean memes, you know, in cartoons. But
when someone is, of course, posting a picture of someone they disagree with, they'll pick the worst one possible, and otherwise, if they like them, they're going to pick a nice smile and perfect lighting, etc. But
yeah, that's that's journalism, if you want to put it that way, or not even necessarily just journalism, but yeah, I find it funny that I'll open up Breitbart News, which I think is a reliable source. Some may disagree with that, but
I agree for sure.
So you can definitely tell where their ideology is, because they definitely choose the most crappy pictures of Biden or any of the leftists. I think it's fun.
Liz Cheney, dude, every single picture they have of her, she just looks like this.
Mm-hmm. You know how I know that she's actually a Democrat? I know she may be a Republican, but you know how I know she's a Democrat?
How's that?
Because she's not very attractive. I know that's bad. I better
Well, but
stop.
AOC's
She
Democrat.
breaks. I guess she breaks that mold, I suppose. But yeah, I know
Eric, you're
that was.
being mean.
I know I'm being mean. If anybody is offended by that, I apologize.
Well, so we're here to hang out and chat because it's Friday afternoon. That's what I was trying to get around to. It's a Friday afternoon. I have worked my butt off counting other people's millions, and I needed some fun. So I actually texted you earlier and said, "Hey, man, let's get on and record a fun episode on a Friday afternoon and hang out virtually." So what do you got that you want to chat about, bro?
Well, because I don't know if you can hear that out there, lightning, or excuse me, thunder, as my wife jokes
Yeah.
with me when I say, "You hear that lightning?"
You're an
But
Okie.
yeah, but because of the vote on the assault weapons ban, even though I'll just say this outright, we can just pray or hope that it doesn't meet cloture in a Senate. That may be a saving grace, but who knows? We don't know. It could make it
Here's
through the Senate. But
here's the point. I think they've had a version of that bill, and Sheila Jackson Lee is usually the person that puts it in and revamps it for the year, etc. They've had that on the in the roster in the background ever since the first quote assault weapons ban sunset in 2004.
mm-hmm.
They've had that, and they will push this through until it goes through. Someday it's going to go through.
Yeah, it very
I
well
hate to say
may.
it.
Well, and what I find a little
Maybe
bit
it won't,
interesting.
but I'm just pessimistic about that because who knows, man. I would love to be proven wrong on that, but
Well,
if
we can give the Democrats this: that they're relentless. They never stop. That's something that conservatives can learn from leftist Democrats is persistence. But Aaron, on that note, I just thought, man, as I was driving home and I knew that was going on, it was like I'm grateful, just a little bit of gratitude that I have some decent rifles or pistols as well. And I figured, man, I just express my gratitude that I still am free enough to own the ARs that I have. And man, I just thought maybe we could just talk about them, talk about maybe our two primary ARs, and
yeah, it
got a
sounds fun.
yeah. So let me grab. I'll ask you this, Aaron. Do you count one of your pistols as your primary home defense weapon, or
Yeah.
what? Yep.
Oh
Okay.
yeah.
So I'll be straight with you. I count this AR pistol as my primary home defense, but for the internet, it's been cleared. But anyway, this is a AR pistol that kind of cool. You may recall this when I was building this, my effort was to build something inexpensive. And with Brian's help, him having his discounts and whatnot, I've only got about $650 total in this pistol. And frankly, it's got some pretty decent parts on here, and it shoots incredibly well, extremely reliable. Again, with those discounts, only about $650. Now that's not counting my old school M2 aim point here, which I still love.
Bro, didn't you have that on some gear in the sandbox?
Yeah, I sure did. This actually, even though it's a personal optic, this is what I ran on my rifle for a good portion of being a soldier, and frankly, that's what I deployed with interesting story, and I'll do a rundown on this pistol. Is my commander, I asked him, I was like, hey sir, you mind if I put my personal optic on my rifle? He's like, yeah, no problem, Sergeant Davis. And so of course I want to zero with it and I want to qualify with it. So I just went ahead. I'd already qualified, maybe a few months before, but like I might as well go ahead and qualify with it. Well, and this isn't that big of a deal. Folks that were in the Army know it's not that hard to get a 40 out of 40, but it's decent enough to get that score. Well, I figured maybe my sergeant major would have either congratulated me when he called me in his office right after, but you know what he called me in there for?
What's that?
He called me in to tell me that I had to requalify because I couldn't qualify with this red dot. Which for folks that know the regulations, of course you can qualify with your optic. It just silliness. Now, folks have heard me say this. I wasn't in anything sexy. I was in a support MOS, but I took all this stuff serious. I was a competitive shooter and, of course, a martial artist well before I joined the Army. So I took this stuff serious. And I knew the regulation, and I don't remember which one it is and where it even came from, but I told him, I said, well, Sergeant Major and regulation so and so, it states specifically that you can qualify with it. And know what he said at that point? Well, Sergeant Davis, I just wanted to know that you knew the regulation.
Oh.
But Aaron, I don't
That's
really
hilarious.
think I don't really think that he did. I think that because I knew this sergeant major, I'm not going to mention his name. He pulled some goofy stuff.
No, man, that was him BSing his way through, not knowing what he was talking about.
Well, and the reason he knew, because he had qualified the same day. I was surprised he was out there, frankly. But
so he qualified with irons?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And I don't remember what
did he see you qualifying with that optic, or?
I don't really recall.
Yeah.
I don't really recall. I know that I ran into him out there because I remember, saying, how's it going, Sergeant Major? What you typically do. And I'm out of respect. Of course, I respected him overall, and especially respect the position. Mm-hmm. He was our battalion sergeant major. So, but anyway, yeah, that was kind of a funny story. But anyway, just a little rundown. I got a blemished BCM upper. I forget what it cost me. It was cheap. And then I'm running a ballistic advantage lower, a ballistic advantage that is 10.3 barrel, running a CMMG rail system, and a battle comp for the muzzle device and the light on here, which I'll tell you, the only thing I dislike about this light, and again, I was going on the cheap, I wanted to, is this isn't momentary only. Now, it will allow you, if you hold it down long enough, it'll be momentary. But if you click it quick, it'll stay on.
Hey, bro.
Yep.
Travis Haley would be on your ass about that.
I know. I thought of Travis Haley when I first got this, because I didn't know that's the way the pressure switch worked, or else I might not have gotten this. But it's an inexpensive light. It's the TLR RM1, and it's about 500 lumens, I believe it is, which is pretty bright for, a short pistol.
And bro, let me be clear. There's my dang email going through here. And to be clear, I'm not saying Travis Haley's all that. I think he's a pretty good instructor.
Oh, absolutely.
But I'm just bringing up. I recall very, very vividly him getting on to you about your light staying on when we were working that dragonfly technique he was teaching us.
Oh, absolutely. And I agree completely with that.
And then did I think you borrowed one of my Enforce lights the next
Yeah.
day, didn't you?
Yeah, and I had one of those on another rifle, but I didn't have it with me. But I'm also running the Proctor sling, good old Proctor sling, man. I still love these freaking money slings.
Oh yeah.
And running Troy backup sights. Actually, the rear sight again, because I used parts that I was trying to use up. I think this is an old school GG&G rear sight. So
That reminds me of when Ernest Langdon was talking about his wife's rifle, calling, like every AR doesn't know who his daddy is.
exactly. Oh yeah, I mean, I've definitely got. I mean, you can call it a Franken gun if you want, but it was, with Brian's help. I mean, he's an armorer,
Oh,
and of
he
course we
knows his
gauged it,
stuff.
and oh yeah, this is a well put together
So
pistol.
forgive me, bro.
Yeah.
I was doing something while you started. That's your 300 blackout.
No, it's a 5.56.
Okay.
That's my main home defense pistol. Now, what I'm running in it, I always like to
That's what I was
mention
going to
this.
ask you. What load you run in it?
So this is Black Hills. It's the 77 grain, the special ball. What is it? The Mark 262 Mod 1, I think it is. Yeah, I mean, out of a shorter barrel, that is, I think that round just really works well. It's been proven well in real shootings.
So,
And
bro, isn't that the round that Kyle DeFore designed his barrel around,
yeah,
or yeah?
yeah, absolutely. And it just works great out of a shorter barrel. And our good friend Chris LaPrey, he's had to use that in a real incident, and he said it performed really well. And just so happened that the incident happened with one of his 10-3 barrels.
Interesting.
That was what he was carrying. And he said he wasn't getting graphic because he's not trying to be that way, but then he said, yeah, dude just dropped. That was it. So
Interesting.
yeah,
Well,
yes.
well,
So
hey, then.
that's my main home defense weapon.
Well, let's keep this on a pattern here. So, like you said, bro, that's probably loud in my mic. Sorry, everybody.
No, well, at
So,
least it went on my end.
so this is my primary home defense. It is a pistol, and Eric, I believe we have the exact same barrel at Ballistic Advantage. I probably need to talk into my mic better, but so everything on here, my lower receiver and my upper receiver and my rail, they're all BCM, and then again that Ballistic Advantage barrel, and then the good old Battle Comp, which I can't decide if that helps with recoil or if it actually pushes it down.
I think it feels. Yeah, I'm with you. I think it works so well. It might it might a little bit.
It's like, man, get a happy medium on it, but it's still a great comp. But I've got these again from another rifle. I threw these Troy backup sights on here. Now, a quick story. So this is my old Aimpoint T1 that you told me to buy once, cry once when I was putting my first decent rifle together. I was out at the range with this puppy and then just shot a couple of rounds and this dot went off. And so I didn't have backups on it, trying to go low vis or something like that, some sexy term. But what it ended up being is that the battery connection was too loose. But man, that made me like, okay, backups from now on. That cured me of that. You I'm very open to being wrong, man, and optic going down at the range. That showed me I was wrong.
Yeah, there's arguments to be had about the battery life, especially with the Aimpoint T1s or the T2s. I mean, you can leave those suckers on for years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't quote me on it. I don't have all the data. I think they're 50,000 hours. I
Yeah,
think at least this version.
On setting 8, it's supposed to run for 5 years. But I'll tell you, dude, I change every battery and every optic on my birthday.
Yep, same here,
Just
bro. I mean, I only started that. Well, let me say the birthday. Using the birthday only about the last 2 years. But yeah,
mm-hmm.
there's no reason. It's very cool if you have to. Now, I will say this. I forgot to mention that. Of course, the BCM pistol grip that I have on here, I've got an extra 123 battery and an extra battery for the M2 as well. And I have that in my
Yep.
main AR as well.
Yeah,
So I've got an extra battery for both.
yeah, I run that in both of mine here too. Now, yeah, that's pretty much the gear rundown on it. Of course, the Proctor sling, and I'm reminding everybody, if you're coming in here, we are celebrating the AR since we got voted against our freedom today in the House. But I just got to say that again. Now, this also has the Enforce light on it. I have it on a Thorn tail. That I know there's debate about where you place your light. Man, I don't get into that stuff. I can use the thing
I think
where it
it's
is.
completely personal preference. You know, it's one of those things.
I've just simply, with the way this Proctor sling works, it's really nice having the sight and then the light to wrap that paracord through, and that locks that thing in, right?
Yep.
And so that's another thing. But man, that thorn tail on there, you can keep a really good grip and still get to that, So, and I'm glad you brought up your rounds. Now, we got to stress, when people ask you, why do you need an AR-15? Again, I believe it is the perfect home defense weapon. We've talked about this. For some people, it's probably a shotgun. Not going to argue with that, but I'm talking about when you weigh all the pros and cons, I think the AR is the best for most people. And it
Yeah,
is for me.
continuity of fire. It's easy to shoot, low recoil. You can take any person who has had next to zero if zero firearms training, and with a little bit of instruction, they can be easily firing an AR no problem.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you can again, the shotgun is awesome. It's hard to beat double aught buck out of a shotgun for those that are concerned about stopping power, quote unquote. But just all around, yeah, I just feel that the AR is the king of home defense. And obviously, again, we can debate on the distance at which a civilian likely is going to get into a fight with a rifle, or, like, say in this instance, an AR pistol. But let's face it, you still have the capabilities to reach out a little bit too.
Well,
So
bro, my biggest concern at long distances is when the toilet paper zombies start coming out. I mean, you might need to take one of those toilet paper zombies out, down the street. So,
yeah, yeah, man. And then we get into uh to PID and all that stuff. That's stuff to discuss maybe another day, as far as being able to positively identify. But for what we need these for, easily, if you know that something's going on, it can reach out there. It
and
can reach out. 100. I would put this pistol as with the optic that that it has on it. I'm still putting it at a 100 meter rifle. Of course, it can, or excuse me, pistol. It of course can reach out further if necessary. I've shot this out to 300, no problem.
Well, but of course, I'm not a ballistics expert, but I have read a lot. I think I know a little more than just your average gun owner. But the issue with 223, and it's funny how many people just flat out think you're crazy when you say that a 223 or 5.56 round has a less over penetration concern than 9mm, or excuse me, just all pistol calibers.
Mm-hmm.
It's just physics. The larger, slower moving projectile goes through walls more. The faster moving, smaller projectile has a lot of energy, but it expends it fast. No, we're not talking about pointing at a wall and blasting through a wall thinking you're okay because your family's on the other side, but hey, this is safer than a pistol. No, that's not what we're talking about. But point is, it's safer than a pistol even. Okay, so again, there you go, Joe Biden. Why do I need a AR-15? Because it's the safest weapon I can use inside my house and still be effective. But real quick, Eric, I'm glad you brought up your rounds. Now, there's of course the difference between, I mean, a primary difference in loads and of course the projectiles is whether they are barrier blind or not barrier blind. Now, just a little added aspect to my indoor, so you can see I've got my little indoor tape wrapped around this one that goes into this pistol. This is loaded with I can't remember. It was Outback ammunition several years ago. Specific temperature stability powders, but that's neither here nor there. It has, I believe, these are 67 grain Match King. Don't quote me on that, but they're Match King, and they are not barrier blind. So I choose those for my indoor. And before we get to my outdoor, I run Federal Fusion bonded 62 grain. These are barrier blind, and I think
that's what I actually have in my main AR here.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yep, absolutely. And you mentioned the Sierra Match King, the 77 grain in the Black Hills is a Match King as well, I believe.
Oh, is it? Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, that's cool.
Yeah, and by the way, I didn't mention this. You know, Kyle DeFore, you mentioned Kyle DeFore. This is a match grade round. You know, this is the military, all the armed forces have used this 77 grain Black Hills to awesome effect at distance. It really out of a squad designated marksman type role. We're talking, 500-600 meters, man. This thing works awesome. It's cool. It's a great round. And I know they're using it at greater distance, but I'm just giving you where it seems to have been storied to work really well is at those distances.
Cool. Well, what else you have there, bro?
Well, Aaron, did you happen to grab your other main AR? We don't have to go long-winded into this one, but this is my main AR. And it's
Eric, something that I was mentioning here just real quick before you go down yours. Look at the furniture on mine too.
What's that?
Look at the furniture on ours, and we did not try to get twin furniture on our rifles.
Yeah, and we built these quite a ways ago, and it is. I know that tan or whatever, dark earth,
flat dark
earth. Thank you, Aaron. It's still fairly popular, but a lot of people are going back to good old black rifles.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is a complete BCM. Only difference is I'm running a Noveski NSR rail. That was what I could find at the time. That was the skinny type rail, and of course it's key mod, and of course the light. This I believe is the Stream Light. Heck, I wrote it down because I wouldn't remember. It's the ProTac HLX, and it runs dual fuels. You can run 123 batteries, or like I run the 18650, I believe it is, rechargeable fuel, and it's got a nice 1,000 lumen beam and the pressure switch on top. But yeah, and my
That's going to give that's going to give
8.21.
somebody that's going to give somebody solar retinopathy.
Yeah. And running the Proctor on this one as well. But yeah, that's that one, and I love that one. It works really well.
Yeah. So
and it's running the BCM hybrid comp / flash hider. I forget what model this is. Honestly, it's been a while.
Yeah, one of those mod zeros or mod ones.
Yeah, I think you're right, man. I think it's a mod 0 or 1.
And now
it works pretty well.
So I think both of us. So yeah, we have these are almost the same rifles. It's funny. Now, if I had to do it all over again, I probably would go with a straight 16-inch barrel, so I could mess around with comps. But that's all right. This is the same, BCM mod 1, I think is what it's called.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that, Aaron, because I may have not mentioned that it's a 14.5 with the pinned comp / hider. Yeah, so that's what yours is as well, the 14.5 pinned, right?
Yeah, bro. These are almost the same rifles, so I don't need to go into too much detail on it either. But one of the main things is, and I joke about this, and when I put this together with this scope, this is my toilet paper zombie rifle, so I can reach out with this.
You got some good PID capabilities with that optic. Yeah.
This isn't a super fancy optic. This is a Viper PST Gen 2 126. It runs great, and I've got it on MI Industries mount there. And what's awesome, Eric, is when I got my eyes fixed right, I can see details on the reticles in my rifles now that I never saw before. That on my bolt action gun, I can see details on that reticle I didn't know existed on there.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, pretty dang cool. So yeah, there's my toilet paper zombie rifle. It's pretty cool, and I've got the same M-Force light on it, on a thorn tail, and same old Proctor sling. Works great, man. This is a great rifle.
Well, and Aaron, to kind of close the loop on this particular conversation, let's just mention the fact that, again, you mentioned how, the left likes to say, Biden specifically, about why do you need an AR-15? Well, back when the Second Amendment was ratified, the musket was the modern rifle of the time, and it was also the modern military rifle. And the civilians, of course, again, had the same exact military grade rifles, and we believe that the AR-15 is the modern musket, and again, the Second Amendment protects the right of the people, and Bruin, brilliantly from Justice Thomas, codified much better, more clearly that it is the right of people, not just the military, and it states that in Bruin, have the right, to keep and bear, carry arms, and we have the right to have this rifle, because ultimately we know that, again, the real meaning behind the Second Amendment is our abilities to defend ourselves against tyranny, and self-defense is secondary,
Well, and that's why they don't like it. It's a check against their power. We could go on and on about that aspect, but it's you could split hairs and say that it's not the equivalent of a musket. It's not full auto, or it doesn't have select fire, so it's not quite military grade, right? Compared to,
absolutely. And
and
I'm
as
glad you bring that up, because I want to make sure that I'm not misunderstood, that I'm saying this is a military. It is not a military rifle. It is like the military in that it's similar, but it's a semi-automatic version. It's a semi-automatic rifle.
And we do have nice quality rifles, and there's a lot of the same companies that make some military rifles, but again, they are not the exact same thing. Our audience knows that, but so yeah, that's fun to at least celebrate some good rifles and our pistols that we use as our primary defense weapons, and that's the reason why we do have them, and thankful that we have that right. And we can move on from this, but the sad thing is that if this bill passes, it's not really a ban. That's actually disingenuous. I'm not saying it's not a bad bill, but the issue is, if they were banning these types of rifles and weapons, they would come pick them up, right?
Right.
They aren't. So there's nothing will ever change because 20 million, 25 million of these types of rifles are in people's hands
And in common use, right?
Yes, in common use. So, but no, the problem is, and we're concerned about the freedom of future people wanting to be able to buy a quality, an effective self-defense weapon. They're going to be the ones that are hurt by this, or harmed in the legal sense, right? And in future generations. So it's
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
People have to think about that you're not just taking these rifles away from people in the near future, let's say in the next few years, from being able to buy some. People down the road won't be able to buy any. All it will do is it'll make pre-ban rifles be worth 3 times what they are now.
Oh, absolutely. And my understanding, and I've got the summary in front of me. I believe that you will still be able to, obviously it says that their grandfather, and I'm not at all making this sound like this, oh good, their grandfather, thank God. Well, I'm if it does go through, at least that is the case. However, it seems to me like, let me get to it here. Yeah, where did it go? Bear with me here. The bill permits continued possession, sale, or transfer of grandfathered saws. That's their new term, and maybe it's been a term for a while. Semi-automatic assault weapon, which we know is a false term. Anyway, which must be securely stored. So they've written into this law that just got to be securely stored. So, if for some reason you keep your rifle out for self-defense, that's now going to be possibly illegal.
Well,
and go ahead.
And let me at least, I'm not sure if I might, excuse me, I can't spit it out. I think I disagree with that understanding, but just bear with me. I've read other instances of that, and what they're meaning, well, I guess it doesn't matter what that meaning is. It's how the ATF and
that's
courts,
my point. It's how it's interpreted.
But what they're saying from an interpretation standpoint is what they're wanting to do is hold you liable if someone gets a hold of your gun and commits a crime. That you will, if you didn't follow that safe storage, then you're at fault and you're going to go to prison.
Yep.
So
yeah, absolutely.
So
I read it that way as well, buddy.
When my boys get out of the house, I can guarantee you there's going to be a rifle sitting next to my bed from then on. I don't have a rifle out. When my boys are here, I just don't think it's responsible, no matter how old they are, to have something like that out. But I can lock my door at night. Then there's that extra barrier, so someone's not just going to walk in and grab my rifle. But yeah, it's a shame. The future generations are the ones that'll suffer and or have to pay an exorbitant prices for one if they want one. But you're saying that does say you can sell.
Yeah, I mean, it does say that you can sell, continue possession, sell, or transfer of grandfathered saws, the rifle term they're using, which must be securely stored. A licensed gun dealer must conduct a background check prior to the sale or transfer of a grandfathered saw between private parties. So they're writing into that now they're getting, their gun show loophole thing taken care of with at least these rifles. Is then you've got to go get a background check to transfer it. So yeah, you can, by the way this summary reads, still be able to sell it. So that makes me think, how class 3, like the pre-86 class 3 weapons that are still available for civilian purchase, man, those things are freaking ungodly expensive. I haven't priced any in a long time, but I mean, they're in the thousands of dollars. I mean,
bro, I think the last
$5 to $20,000.
Bro, I think the last time I saw a price on like a MP5, I think they were like $35K.
Oh yeah, wouldn't surprise me.
And yeah, don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's about what they go for these days. Well,
but nonetheless, even with this grandfather, this is absolutely a trampling on liberty, and again, like you said, for future generations, and even just folks that were maybe on the fence about getting a semi-automatic rifle. Now they're gonna not have the capabilities to get a new one.
And
so
here's another aspect. It's not a ban. Words mean what they mean. A ban means you can't have it. So,
yep.
You know what? For their constituents, for the people that support them to do something like this, they're lying to their supporters too.
Well, again, Aaron, they've got to do something.
Yeah,
we got to do something.
But seriously, though, Eric, they're insulting the intelligence of the supporters. They're supporters. That's the truth. So, I mean, can't even be honest about that single thing.
Yeah, all it does is end the future manufacturing or selling of these types of rifles in the future.
And Eric, will it stop any one of these nut bar, just evil mass murderers to get a hold of one?
Of course not. They do not care. They do not care about a stupid law. Nope.
So that's enough.
Yeah.
I don't think we planned on talking that much about that, did we? But like I said before we came on here, we're just going to have a jam session.
Yeah.
Bro, speaking of jamming, I was writing some music this morning, and one of these days, I actually recorded a scratch track with a click track that I put together for you. So if the stars and planets align, I will have you a tune this weekend.
I believe it when I see it.
I know. I've been telling you for a while now. I think I literally have about 5 compositions. I call them compositions because they're instrumental for our show. I call a song to me is something where somebody's singing.
Yeah.
So I'll call these compositions. So yeah, I've got 5 compositions that I've been kicking around. Some of them for the last year, but I'll just kind of tweak some parts here, and I'm not totally happy with the way this runs. But this song was one of those that I've been kicking around for a long time. But man, I just found a couple of chords and a couple other things that, man, were the glue to hold it together, and I think it's going to be dang cool.
Well, awesome. I'm looking forward to it
Yeah.
for sure. And
Well,
speaking of which, Aaron, real quick, I know when you were on vacation, I sent you. Speaking of a scratch track, I sent you a recording of my drums with my kick mic a little different, and even the overhead. That's not the overhead I actually used. It's up there right now. But what did you think of the drum sounds with the newer miking?
bro, it sounded like a cannon. It was. I put that on. It was like, boom, 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 boom.
So
And
maybe it was too much.
I think we got to split the difference
Yeah.
because you're going to have you use a a high pass filter EQ on that to get rid of a lot of those sub frequencies. It might be hard to get rid of them properly, and it's still going to be too thick. But
Well, and you
no,
know what's interesting though, Aaron, is that I think it's simply that the placement of the mic in front of the reso head must have just picked up more of those tones. And I really believe, and if Justin's out there listening or any other audio engineer, I think it's also possible that where the placement was of the mic in relationship to my other mics, it's real possible. I was getting a little
phase
bit of canceling.
cancellation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that may be it. It's just my standard for a kick drum sound is Tommy the Cat.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Great sound.
it almost sounds like a marching band kick drum. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
marching band bass drum. And a couple of our recordings, I was able to tweak something like that out for you. And it was funny. It was with your older drum kit, and I
Mm-hmm.
think it was because you had a little different miking. And speaking of Eric, pretty cool that my kick drum reference is from Tim Alexander, who we have started a little friendship because of this show. Pretty dang
Mm-hmm.
cool.
Oh, I'm pumped about it, man. It's really cool because he's on a different time zone than us, and it's cool to wake up in the morning and see a new text from Tim because we're trying to set some stuff up. So yeah, very cool, man. We're blessed for sure.
Well, bro, I don't want to meander too much. Hopefully, people are still having fun hanging out with us. This is a jovial, laid back conversation. But Erica, I wanted to talk to you, especially since you didn't you ignored my text about my trigger work on my new Glock and my old Glock.
Oh, I didn't ignore it. I think I was just busy and I forgot to, man.
Oh, shut up. Well, so long. I'll start it out. So here's my empty. I say my, but it's just easy for me to say that it is in my house, and
Hmm.
some of my money went to buy it. Right? But no, this is my wife's Glock 48. She doesn't carry it a whole lot right now. She really likes carrying her 42. And I started talking to her about getting a custom Gen 5 19 from one of our favorite custom gun tweakers. And when I start doing that, we can have a show and maybe have the guy on that I'm going to get it from,
Mm-hmm.
and we can chat about it. But so in the meantime, to tide me over, she said I could borrow her 48. Let me digress a little bit. The reason why I wanted another carry gun is that I don't like shooting my carry gun a lot. I want to keep it fairly new. Make sure I'm not beating the heck out of it. So I've been when I go practice by myself here in Oklahoma, it's either part of the sun or it's just me shooting, just stacked up on. I've got a lot of magazines loaded up and I keep shooting. I'm not shooting, rapid fire burning down stuff, but it just gets too dang hot. So I need two pistols that are similar to go between because they get too dang hot to even shoot. So I've retired my carry 19. And so now I've got this to carry a while until I get my new 19. So I did a grip job on this, and I put an Overwatch. I just went ahead and grabbed their Polydat trigger face and put that on the. I haven't tried their Polydat, and it's real nice. I really dig those Overwatch triggers.
Yeah, I love Overwatch triggers. I have them on all my primary pistols.
Yeah,
now.
Same here. The thing is, man, they really, if you place your finger on there right, it almost forces you to do a nice rearward trigger press. But so something I think it might be common, but that the slimmer frame Glocks apparently, and my Glock 42s like this too. The triggers are heavier.
Yeah.
And
same on my 43.
Okay, so there's something about the geometry of these new single stack designs. So and this thing was just so freaking gritty. It's still got a little bit of that stacking feel, but I went to Ghost and got 3 of their connectors, their edge connectors, because they have an edge one for the 48 and then for your standard size Glocks. I got all of them, and what it's supposed to eliminate that there's like 2 walls that a lot of Glocks have. There's the wall and then like a little small one that breaks, and then you hit your real wall. Well, this gets rid of that for the most part and relieves some of the weight. But this still isn't great. Now, man, this edge in my 17, man, this thing is crazy good now, Eric. I mean, it's like there's a wall, and that wall simply smoothly breaks through. You don't feel like a hard wall. You just hit that wall slightly into that trigger press, and then it's a real consistent break the rest of the trigger travel. And
nice. Man, I might have to pick me up a couple of those and give that a try, because my Gen 5 19 has got a pretty well defined second wall, and it's not that big of a deal most of the time, but every now and then when I'm shooting, say at 25 yards, I might notice it a little more.
That's exactly what has gotten me more concerned about Glock triggers or any triggers, is the longer shooting we've been doing for these quals and stuff. I'm definitely not as tight as I want to be on those groups. But
yep, you and me both. But we're getting better at it.
Well, and people will want to go, hey, if you're concerned about the trigger, why are you shooting a Glock? Well, I still think they're the best fighting pistol, so I still use them.
Yep.
So, but
I mean, to think about it, we still, these last 2 Rangemaster instructor classes had some pretty decent quals that, especially, well, the first IDC.
Me.
What's that
now? Especially me.
Yeah.
Just kidding, bro.
But the advanced instructor class had a pretty decent bullseye qual that went all the way out to 25, and it, pretty decent standards. And if you're not doing your job, you're not gonna make it. But at the same time, that trigger can make a little bit of a difference,
certainly. And Eric, that reminds me that story that Tom said, that one guy said, "Man, I almost passed." And Tom responded, "Well, I almost gave you a certificate."
Yes, was that at this last one, or
No,
was it the
I
one?
think
It
it
was
was.
at your
I don't
IDC,
remember.
the first one.
Maybe it was. Yeah, I don't remember where he said it, but I'll never forget him saying it. I just don't remember where. But and then Eric, so I shared something about this on the socials, and then Cliff Byerly, our good buddy, Cliff, got on there and said, "Aaron, with all these plastic guns and all the upgrades, you could have got a staccato by now."
I saw that.
And I said, "Man, but who can use one gun for their life?" Because Eric, I was thinking that staccatos were like Wilson Combats, $4,000. And I looked at a site and I could have sworn that they were in the 4K range. But dude, I found this site that it's like a staccato pistol finder. And man, if the prices on there were around between 2K and 2.5K, man,
Yeah,
that's
that's what I thought I
reasonable
was
for
tracking. Yeah, somewhere around 2,500.
that's fairly reasonable for a pistol like that, because you're not going to have to upgrade it. The only thing you have to do, in my case, is slap an optic on it. But I'm telling you, one of the other higher end pistols that I was wanting is going to be around that price too. And man, I'm going to have to toss a coin on those. I might still end up with a staccato one of these days, because again, Cliff's that trigger on that. Again, I've never thought much about triggers until I got better eyes and started shooting at distance more. Man, when that staccato, it was ridiculous. I mean, it brought a tear to my eye. So, well,
yeah, that was a nice pistol, man. At the
Eric,
complete combatant, it was a good time.
oh, excellent class. Now, Eric, we'll bring up something else here. I've got a new friend. Her name is, she goes by CB, like the radio. That's her handle out there. And so I met her through a good old friend, Eric, Paul, that took the pictures at my wedding, and he worked at my old job. He was an ex-Army guy, and I mean, just super cool guy. He sent CB my way to get some gear help, because she's wanting to get into something called the tactical games, and simply just wanting to get better at shooting and getting into competition. So, long story short, I kind of asked her, over a couple of days what she was wanting to do, and she wanted to basically start competing and get some gear that worked for her concealed carry also. So I helped her put together a rig that would work for both IDPA and for carrying if she needed, right? And you know, the yes, IDPA is a game to a lot of people. Nothing wrong with that. But the ideal of IDPA was, and it was for multiple reasons, to start you out with gear that you would carry concealed, and so you wouldn't have to be out a lot of money to get fancy gear to compete.
Exactly. Yep.
And that's one of the other reasons why I suggested that she go ahead and get into IDPA, because it wouldn't be some huge barrier to entry.
Yep.
So then, she jumped right in, and she shot, I think, 2 competitions last weekend and a competition the previous weekend. I mean, she's just getting after it, and she's real passionate. Yeah. It's so awesome. New shooters in competition. We want everybody in competition, from beginners to, to world champions like Mike Seeklander, right? But so then a guy kind of chimed in on one of her posts, and he's a guy I know from here, and he is a badass shooter.
Yeah, I saw a video of him shooting. He's very good, most certainly.
But he kind of came in there and said, "Hey, great seeing you this weekend. But we need to get you together. What did he say? We need to get you a proper competition rig going."
Yeah,
No, man, no, we don't take offense to that or anything, but it. And he mentioned, it's the mission, defining the gear, and that's 100% correct. And he said it's a game, so I have game gear, right? He's got a real raced up holster set up, and I can't remember what pistol he runs, but yeah, he's got a race gun set up, and that's super cool, boy. If you shoot USPSA without something like that, you're probably gonna be hurting.
yeah,
But
agreed.
but but then it just came back to, okay, but yeah, the mission for her and for us is to practice with carry gear. Dude, I like doing well in competition, but I am not going to. I'm not wearing it so. For instance, I compete with a 17 usually, but now that IDPA allows AIWB or appendix carry, I run my pistol under my t-shirt like I would concealing. And that's the way I'm going to do it, because every time I go to a competition, I'm going to get reps with my carry gear. So, especially carry position and type of carry gun. I usually carry my favorite carry gun's a 19, and I compete with it also. But circling back, I, I just don't. Fine for them, but I don't. I guess I disagree with calling it a proper rig. And she just got a rig. It's like, okay, so I spent money on this, and then someone tells me it's not proper.
Yeah, that's why I chimed in and went ahead and responded. And it's just simple. It's just a simple fact that we look at IDPA and I know you know this right now. I haven't been competing much this last couple of years, but bottom line is I know because I've I've studied it on the clock. I'm only about a tenth of a second difference in my uh, outside the waistband rig that you would call I wouldn't call it a race rig at all, but it's a fast holster. I mean, it's got plenty of clearance from my side, and it's like I I'm only a tenth of a second different on that. And I would argue right now, because I've been actually really working on getting a sub-second draw. And I would say I'm probably, because I've worked so much for that sub-second draw from my appendix rig, I'm probably faster with it now. But again, yes, if I really worked with that outside the waistband, comp rig, yeah, I could probably still do it faster. But anyway, that's the point. And then I responded saying, I'm not going to, just like you said, I'm just not going to give up the opportunity to do repetitions with my carry rig. And it's just not worth it to me to shave that tenth of a second off when I'm losing an opportunity under a little bit of pressure in a competition to get those reps in. So yeah. And Aaron, I'll add this. That was the other aspect of it. It's like, I had knowledge of CB. And by the way, CB, I've not met you. If you happen to listen to this, welcome aboard to this path. I'm real proud of you. I've been seeing what you've been doing a little bit on your Instagram, and man, that's what we love to see. And
Eric,
go ahead.
just check this out. I believe she is meeting Becky for a go at jiu-jitsu on Monday night.
Legit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. Again, man, welcome to the path, CB. Getting after it, and she's hitting all the important aspects of the path for sure. So the primary primary trifecta that we talk about. But well, yeah, that's why I felt like responding, because I didn't want her. I didn't want her feeling like, oh goodness, do I need to change? It's like I felt like it was important to comment.
Yeah,
It's just an opinion, but I feel like our opinion is informed.
Yeah, and I also didn't want her feeling like I set her off, like you said, kind of set her off down a path of gear that that she's going to have to invest more in the future. And she had a good response. She said, because I told her that, and she said, well, if I want to get a race gun rig in the future, I'll just do that. But
Yeah.
she said, I've got one purpose, and that's learning to protect myself and my family better. And I believe this is the place to start. So,
Yep. Totally agree. Awesome. Well, man, I think I'm curious, Aaron. Do you are you and Becky going to be watching the ADCC 2022 with Gordon Ryan and Andre Galvan in the super fight? Do you guys happen to have a Flograppling membership? Maybe.
no, you put me on the spot, dude.
No, not at all. I really wasn't, man. I was just curious if you guys did. Seriously.
Man, I can tell you that the way you even responded is the way you would respond if you were giving me a hard time. That was tough. It was tough to get in. So you really weren't putting me on the spot.
I wasn't.
I'm gonna say, man, you freaking jerk. Put me on the spot in front of thousands and thousands and thousands of people.
Yeah. Yeah, bro. But seriously, if you guys don't, I was just curious.
When is that? Tonight?
Oh no, I'm glad it's not tonight. No, it's September 17th through the 18th.
Okay.
Yeah, man. I mean, maybe you guys consider just doing I think you can do a monthly. Just freaking do it for the month and just cancel it. If you don't want to go further.
Yeah.
But man,
Dude,
go ahead.
speaking of jujitsu, I'm seeing what time it is. I'll be hitting a class tonight.
Awesome, man.
I've been so
Makes me
dang
happy.
busy and working my butt off, again, counting other people's millions, not my millions, but other people's millions. And I haven't been able to go to class at all this week. So,
Well, bro, full disclosure, I've only went once this week because of work.
okay,
And
both of us.
but I'm gonna go to open mat as well.
When's that? Tonight?
Sunday.
Cool.
Yeah. So yeah, bro. But yeah, other than that, man, it's still been a good week jiu-jitsu wise, man. I've been doing a lot of studying again after my purple belt promotion, because I had certain things I really had to focus on for that. Now I'm kind of doing my extracurricular studying. So I've reverted back to doing a lot of no-gi stuff, the straight jacket system that the Danaher squad does. So I've revisited that because I was only working on the underhook side straight jacket. Now I've moved to the overhook side of the straight jacket. And I'm like, why wasn't I doing or practicing the overhook side? Because man, it's they're like Danaher talks about, and I think your gym might do it this way, and there's some legitimate philosophy to that. They say there's the right way and the wrong way. The right side, the wrong side.
Now, bro, when you say straight jacket, let me ask this: the other night, it was a fun class. We were working on a few different chokes that were. Let me think here. A couple of them were a little acrobatic, but one of them was the anaconda. So when they're facing you and you're wrapping under their pit and then over their arm and then twisting over and kind of pulling them into your forearm. I can't explain it very well because it was the first time I did it. Is that a normal name for a choke that you do in anaconda, and then there was a Peruvian choke or something?
Yeah, like a Peruvian necktie.
Yeah,
is probably what it was.
It made me think. Made me think, man, these Peruvians are mean.
I think that got, and I can't remember the fighter's name. He was Peruvian who popularized that particular choke. I think that's where that kind of came from.
I see.
I could be wrong and be corrected, but yeah, Aaron, absolutely. The anaconda choke is something that I do, and the opposite of that, or the opposing choke to that, is called the Darce choke.
Yeah,
depends on where you feed your arm.
Bro, we were. That's the other one. We were working on the Darce. We were working on a Darce, and then a shallow Darce.
Nice.
That use more of your forearm against the carotid, less than kind of getting your forearm around, kind of getting the trachea.
Yeah.
Less crank on the shallow one. So.
Oh, cool. Yeah, man. Those are two great chokes. They're. I don't use them all that often, but sometimes I'll, if my partner or opponent is kind of feeding me that, I'll certainly take them. But as far as a straitjacket goes, Aaron, it really is just the terminology that John Danaher uses for when you're on their back, and usually you start with a seat belt most of the times, or similar with the seat belt, and you have your hooks in, or you have a triangle, leg triangle, or a top mount, or post mount, excuse me, the way that you have your legs. But it's the way, Aaron, simply that you tie their hands up, because what you want is an unopposed choking hand to where they can't defend it. And so typically the way you're doing that is that, and I prefer the cross grips, the way that you grip their hands, and the way that you can feed it down below their chest line, and being able to feed your feet over that hand and then trap it either from behind their back, or you actually can cross your feet if you do it properly, to where you're trapping their arm underneath your feet, and then you can then grab the other hand and push it down below the chest line, and then start feeding your choke, and they can't do anything about it at that point. The only thing they have is their chin to defend it.
Mm-hmm.
So cool. Yeah. So didn't mean to get on that long discussion, but it's kind of cool to talk about.
Oh, sure. Well, man, we've probably had a good enough, long enough chat here.
I agree.
On a funny note, this morning, so I got up early to go to, again, I started working on my accounting work at 6 a.m. So I got up at 5 because I play guitar every morning, right? But I was doing something, and Judah came in here. Judah's my cat, everybody. And he laid down on my credenza over here and started kind of sleeping. And all I did was just pull my pistol out of the holster, and he goes, meow. and then I pointed it at my safe area, and he, meow. I hadn't even pulled the slide back or trigger. Dude, all it took was this sound. And he's like, dude, don't you start dry firing, Dad.
That's funny.
That cat's awesome. He made a cat person out of me. He's my favorite pet I've ever had.
Well, just like I've always said, I said I'd never have a pug. I told my wife, can you imagine me walking around that snorty little dog? And yeah, Brody's my favorite pet I've ever had. I love that dog dearly.
He's awesome.
A great boy.
I love him too. I can't wait to see him again. Now, Eric, wasn't that funny how Annette Evans had a cat that looked a lot like Judah?
Oh yeah, very similar.
Well, bro, I'm gonna let you off here, and I'm gonna go prep a little bit, maybe eat something so I can get to jits without rushing to get in the door there.
Yeah, bro, I've got a steak waiting down there for me to cook. It's a ribeye. I'm gonna put a cowboy rub on it, which is some coffee. I put a little cayenne in it, and then some just a regular steak spices, salt and pepper and onion powder,
Garlic.
cumin, and a little bit of garlic. Man, it turns out delicious, man. So I'm looking forward to that.
You put coffee on it.
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard of that in my life.
Yeah, I'll have to cook that for you sometime,
bro.
Yeah, I like it on ribeyes. I don't, and I still love ribeyes. I normally spice my ribeyes the same way I do my fillets, but I learned about this cowboy rub from a restaurant in Yakima, Washington one time, and I'm like, man, I bet you I can figure that out. So I went home and experimented with it. It's good.
Now, so is it? Did you get your ribeye from that service that you get meat sent to you?
No, that's Butcher Box. No, Jana just picked it up at the store because, she found a good deal on a ribeye for me. She just picked it up. That's what she does sometimes. She'll say, "Hey, I found this steak on sale for you." So yeah,
what is it? Some of that new now rare Dutch cow meat?
What's that?
I guess they're trying to kick farmers off their land, and when you say Dutch, now is that Holland? Man, I'm exposing my ignorance of
I
Europe.
Thought so,
right now.
buddy. I thought so.
The Dutch, let's just say the Dutch.
Yeah.
Dutch farmers are there's something going on over there, protesting farmers, and has to do with some environmental stuff over cow farts again, I think.
Yep. Methane. Yeah, silliness.
All right, bro. On that 8th grade humor, I'm gonna let you go.
Yeah, bro. It's great hanging out with you, man. You have a good weekend, okay?
You too. Good Friday afternoon, man. Take it easy. Love you.
Love you too. Bye.